I want you to think of the worst thing you can imagine. Are you thinking of sad puppies, or maybe your grandmother getting hit by a car and then the person getting out and emoting on her corpse? Well, what I'm about to tell you is far worse. The internet could be disabled for months and months within the next decade. I know, shell shock. It's sending shivers down my spine. It's a horrific thought. And this potential upcoming catastrophic event is being called the Internet Apocalypse, and NASA is warning us about it. Some researchers and whatnot have been looking into it, and they say that there is a 1.6% to 12% chance that this month-long catastrophic internet disruption could occur within the next decade. Now let me get into the nitty-gritty, the real specifics. What exactly is going on here? Basically, it boils down to the sun. The sun is going to be the one that is the root of all these problems. More specifically, it's coming from solar winds, which come from the sun and are said to be created by the outward expansion of plasma, which is a collection of charged particles from the sun's corona, or the outer atmosphere of the sun. Basically, the sun's shooting out this stuff that's like kryptonite for people on Earth, because what it would do if it hits the Earth would wreak havoc on Earth's satellites, radio, communications, internet, and electrical grids. So if these solar winds hit high enough speeds, human evolution as we know it is going to come to a grinding halt, because we can't evolve, we can't further as a species, we can't function as a society without internet connection or the electrical grid. We're done for. The only people who are going to survive are old people who still use flip phones. Those are the only people who are going to live through this, and they only have like a couple months left at most. But even though the percentage of this happening within the next decade is only 12% at most, I still don't like those odds. It's still some hefty odds. But regardless of the impact on, just our communications and our devices and whatnot, apparently this article says it's also gonna potentially cost the US economy $7 billion per day from this blackout, and God forbid we hurt the US economy. Oh my God, tragic! Not the US economy, anything but the US economy. Woo-wee. But NASA does have a plan to help counter this, or hopefully prepare for it, like a doomsday prepper kind of thing. Because back in 2018, they launched the first spacecraft to touch the sun, quote, because it entered its upper atmosphere, or the corona, and the goal was to help, I can't fucking read. The goal was to help scientists examine how solar winds reach supersonic speeds and impact the larger space weather system. So they basically sent this thing out there to help understand what's going on behind the scenes, what's causing these solar winds, how they come about, all that kind of stuff. And they're quoted as saying that's going to affect our ability to understand how the sun releases energy and drives geomagnetic storms, which are a threat to our communication network. So they're basically trying to understand this so they can get in the mind of the enemy and shut it down before it shuts us down. And they apparently have found out some really crucial information about these solar winds, but it's some really nerdy stuff, and I really don't feel like talking about it. I can see you falling asleep, dozing off as I'm about to talk about some real scientific stuff. So I'm just going to skip over that and say that they figured out some stuff that's definitely going to help them. It's going to help them build up their defenses to counter this. It's like trying to fight a fire Pokemon with a water type Pokemon. But although the research has came up with some pretty great things, they say that we're not finished with the puzzle yet, but this is a major step forward for understanding a central mystery of solar physics. But apparently these little flare-ups of solar winds aren't the only thing that we have to fear shutting down life on Earth, because there's also apparently an 11-year solar cycle we have to take into account. And the maximum of the cycle is expected to be somewhere around 2025, and this just means that electromagnetic activity on the sun is going to be peaked at that point. It's going to be at peak tip-top shape, which hand in hand with that brings more devastation and risk of just complete disruption of life on Earth. So that's another thing we have to look forward to right there. Really just a great thing to hear. But apparently NASA's already doing damage control on this, and they made a computer model that uses artificial intelligence to forecast extreme conditions. And apparently this technology can predict where a solar storm will strike Earth with a 30-minute warning time. So if this was adopted by the power grid operators and telecommunication companies worldwide, officials could then use that to, move their systems offline or issue temporary shutdowns to help, swerve the impending solar winds, which I guess that's a good system, better than everything being out for months. But 30 minutes isn't a whole heck of a lot of time. In 30 minutes, what could I do? I have sex with your mom at least 30 times? Like, that's not a lot of time. But still, they say that, quote, this could provide just enough time to prepare for these storms and prevent severe impacts on power grids and other critical infrastructure. And that's pretty much it. That's all that's really going on. The internet apocalypse is upon us. The end times that the Bible prophesied are about to happen. I'll tell you what, this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about in this video, but Jesus himself, if he was alive today, he would be a heck of an influencer. All them miracles and whatnot. Dude would be TikTok famous for sure. But anyways, I'm just going to end the video here. Just think about this while you're going to sleep. Get a bit of existential dread building up, thinking that everything could be shut down just in the blink of an eye. All because of a sun that dwarfs us and is just incomprehensibly large and pretty much controls all of life on Earth. It has life on Earth is in the palm of the sun's hand. If it comes a little bit closer, we're dead. Goes a little bit further away, we're dead. If it sends out solar winds at such high speeds, we're not going to have fun. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next one.